Hey everybody, so the first thing we're going to do, we're going to collimate the scope, because every time you use a Newtonian reflector like this, potentially with temperature variance and so on, you could find that the scope is out of collimation. So to do this, you need to get a collimator, and it has a target there. It shoots a laser down, it bounces off the secondary mirror onto the primary mirror, back again, and then back up to the target. So I'll turn this on, and you can see there's a red dot there. Hopefully you can see that. Yes, you can. There's a red dot there. Now what I need to do is loosen these locking screws, and then adjust the fine adjustment screws here until that red dot goes right into the middle. There we go. It is spot on in the middle. So then you tighten your adjustment screws. There we go. So the laser is now going straight down the centre of the scope, bouncing off the primary mirror, back up to the secondary mirror, and back in the centre of the target. So this scope is now completely collimated. So brilliant, we're ready to go. So what we're going to do first is actually find Venus. So I can see Venus up there. I'm using a 25mm eyepiece, and I'm going to look through the scope and see if I can see it, because this will give a nice big wide field of view, and because it's getting dark I'm now going to move to a red light, so that should now hopefully not affect my night vision so much. So now all I need to do, first of all, take the cap off the end of the scope, and let's find Venus. So Venus is in the eyepiece now, and the idea currently is to get Venus right in the middle. Okay, Venus is in the middle, and I've engaged the right ascension motor. I know Polaris is roughly up there, although I can't see Polaris yet. So it's just a very rough polar alignment, which is all you need for planetary. But Venus is super duper bright and right in the middle there. So what I'm going to do now is go and get the camera, and we'll try and get a picture of Venus. Okay everybody, we're back. So Venus is still in the middle, which is great. I'm now going to take that eyepiece out. Just pop it in the tray. And we're going to put in an astrocam. And the idea of these types of astrocams, they just fit in where the eyepiece would be, but we may need to change the focal length slightly with different extenders, but I don't know yet, so we'll see. So, I don't know if you guys can see that, but I'm now going to just move it so that you can see the PC screen as well. Hopefully down there, and you can see that's Venus, and I'm just going to adjust the focus now. There she is, looking completely amazing. So this is a very short video of Venus without a barlow lens. And it's super important to get the subject in the middle, because as soon as you put a barlow lens on, it zooms in, and as a result it makes it really difficult to find. So I'm going to go and get a 3x barlow lens now. So let's put our barlow lens in, and then we'll have to refocus. There we go, you can see it, it's completely out of focus. And let's do is to focus it on. There we go, so we've got Venus there. Let's reduce that exposure. So this is through 3 times barlow lens. Okay, the next one is to go to a 5 times barlow lens. So I'm going to go and get one of those, and let's see what a 5 times barlow can do. Okay, there we go. Venus is there, out of focus, as we'd expect. But you can see, looking amazing. So what I'm doing is really tiny tweaks on the focus to try and get it as sharp as I possibly can. And then we're going to take a video of Venus. So what I really want to get is about a minute of footage, a minute and a half. And then we're going to stack all of those pictures together, because at the moment it's just a wobbly mess with all of the Earth's atmosphere. But once we've stacked it together, it should hopefully look amazing. The other thing that I'm going to do in a moment is change the region of interest so it's much smaller, so it's only around Venus. But because I was so happy just to see Venus on the screen, I've just taken a video with lots of black, which is of course a huge file, so I'll change the region of interest to just being a box around Venus, and then we'll be able to take another video which will be a much smaller file size, so it won't just be black. So this should hopefully be Venus through a 5 times barlow lens. Okay, I'm really happy with that. Let's see what we've got. I'll tidy up and we can whack these in the computer and let's see some finished results. We've come inside now and I'm going to do a process to look at stacking the individual video files which we got from the video we took of Venus. So I've imported those onto this computer and we've got a series of ser.ser files, which is the format, the uncompressed video format which we're using. I'm going to do 2 processes here. One is with Venus without a barlow lens because that's really small, and then I'll do another one with Venus going through the 5 times barlow lens because that's much bigger, and the 2 are slightly different in terms of alignment points. So what I'll do now, I will just take one of these files. I'm using a program called AutoStakkert here, and it comes up with 2 windows. This one has all the settings and this one has some settings and the actual image. So I know that this file is of the 5 times barlow lens, so I'll just load it in there, and there we go. We can see Venus from the video, and if you scroll through, you can see Venus fluttering there in the Earth's atmosphere. So what we want to do first of all, we're across here and we need to analyze this image. So we just click on this window here. We need to go to Planet, and then we need to go to Analyze. There we go. So it's now processed the first step, and you can see you've got a graph here, and this line across the middle, the blue line, is the 50% line, and anything above that line is good and anything below is of less quality. So we can see that at 25 is all good, and then as we get to sort of 45 it begins to drop below 50%. So I'm going to change the percentage of frames that are stacked to 45. Oops, 45. And then in this window we need to put alignment points along here, and the software will do this for us. All we have to do is, if we have these numbers here for AP size, so I'm going to go for 24, and then click place alignment points, and you can see quite nicely it's put some alignment points onto our image there, which is really good. So back to this window here. So we're going to stack 45, and I'm going to leave all of the settings exactly how they are there, and then click stack. So AutoStakkert is now going to align all of those points, and then we will see our finished image of Venus stacked together. Great, so that's now been stacked together, and on this side AutoStakkert creates a folder. Now I've stacked some of the others already, so it's got some of these images already processed, but if I go into this one here, you'll see that this is the stacked image we've just created, and there it is, and it's got a kind of greeny yellow haze at the moment, which we will correct. So there it is. Now what I'd like to do is stack Venus without the Barlow lens, because you'll find that the alignment points that we see here, because it's so much smaller, the alignment points are harder to put on, so you actually have to possibly draw them on yourself. Venus without the Barlow lens was the first file that we have just here, so I'm going to just drag and drop that onto there, and then we will see that we have Venus. Now obviously it's a lot smaller this time. There's Venus, and we're just going to analyze that image exactly the same as before, so we click planet and then analyze, and now AutoStakkert is analyzing that image. And we can see here again we've got roughly 45, so we'll keep the same settings. So again, 50% line there, anything above 50% will stack. This is the quality graph, and it's just crossing before halfway there, so I'm going to stack 45 as we've got there. Now this time we've got some different issues with the alignment points. So if I was to now click, I'll just clear it, and then click alignment points, you can see that absolutely no alignment points have appeared on there. So place alignment points, and even if we change these numbers a bit down to 16, which is the lowest, it can't do it, and if we go a bit higher to 48, it still can't do it. So what we have to do is manually draw a couple of alignment points on there. Now I can't actually see much information, so I'm going to try and zoom in a bit, which is really tricky to do. I'm just changing the image size with the width and height, and what I'm going to do now is just draw a couple of boxes to put some alignment points. So there's one, there's another, and I'm going to draw one roughly around there as well. So it's got 3 alignment points on that tiny image there. So we'll go back into the other window and we will click stack. So AutoStakkert is now stacking those images together, and then hopefully we'll have a little image to look at. Great, so that's now stacked. If we go over to our folder, this is the image which we have just stacked together. So that is Venus without a Barlow lens. One thing with all of these images is that they are slightly yellowy green. So we're going to come out of this now and go into RegiStax and just change the colour of them slightly. So I'll close AutoStakkert, thank you very much, and so we go into RegiStax 6, and then we need to drag and drop our Venus image into RegiStax, and as you drag it across you have to stretch intensity levels, and you say yes to that, and we get our Venus image. Now this is a super tricky image to do too much processing to, but what we can do is get rid of that green and blue haze by going to RGB balance, which is there, and if we click on show processing area, we'll then get a window. I don't know if you can see that, but there's 4 bits there to show that this is in a box, and all I'm going to do in this is click auto balance, and that has now balanced the picture a little bit. And if I reset, it's got a sort of yellowy green haze. and that's now gone. So I think that looks pretty good. Now it's also really bright as well, and over here we have contrast and brightness controls as well. So I'm going to bring down the brightness a tiny bit, just to stop it from being quite so bright. That's not too bad. So then you have to click a button called Do All at the top, and now it's going through processing that image, and then we save the image. You can see I've got previous images there, so I'm going to save that as our new Venus image. So I'm going to go through now and do this to all of the Venus images, and then I'll chop them together at the end and you can see the final image.